On Monday, April 10th, completely out of the blue, Marvel dropped the first official trailer for Thor Ragnarok. In its first 24 hours of release, it garnered more than 136 million views, more than any other prior Marvel Studios trailer, or indeed any Disney trailer period, had ever done in that time frame up until then. Furthermore, the trailer was met with thunderous enthusiasm, many claiming it is one of the best trailers ever made. By contrast, just a couple of weeks earlier, on March 28th, Sony Pictures and Marvel Studios dropped the second trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming. While still positive, the response to the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer was far more mixed, the chief complaint being that it just gave away too much. These are both trailers for Marvel Studios movies that were released within weeks of each other, so how could the trailer for the third Thor movie receive so much more favorable a reception than the trailer for Spider-Man Homecoming, the first solo movie featuring the massively hyped Marvel Studios Spider-Man? In this video, I will first talk a little bit about the science behind movie trailers, then share my take on why the Thor Ragnarok trailer was so overwhelmingly positively received, why the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer wasn't received nearly as well, and finally explore the possible business decisions that might have led to the different outcomes. Movie trailers today are either cut by specialized trailer cutting companies or by the studio's own marketing departments, with or without input from the director. The movie advertised is often packaged as an offering, brought to you by the directors and producers of so and so other movies, and they stick to the strict time limit of maximum 2 minutes and 30 seconds as laid down by the MPAA. The perhaps most used tool in a trailmaker's toolbox is also the most timeless one, namely that of mimicry, seeing what other successful trailers did right and then mimic that. When one trailer hits on a new recipe that knocks it out of the park, many others will imitate it, leading many trailers to become a bit sameish. This is the reason why so many of yesteryear's trailers started with the narration, "in a world." Of course, when something once cutting edge is done too many times, it tends to become cliché, which is why you rarely see narration in trailers today. Yet there is no shortage of trailers using epic spaced out imagery combined with period music following the massively successful Guardians of the Galaxy promotional campaign. In addition to mimicry, the more innovative of marketing departments also have more scientific tools at their disposal. More specifically, they will enlist the help of neuroscientists, who use among other things brain scans to determine which audio-visual pairings create the greatest emotional impact. The greater the emotional impact, the greater the engagement. The greater the engagement, the greater the chances the trailer will be remembered. And the greater the chances the trailer will be remembered, the greater the chances the movie in question will open big. The correlation between the engagement with the trailer and the opening weekend is actually a measurable one. Analysis of brainwave activity suggests that recognizable actors, minimal dialogue, simple visuals, and variation in images lead to the greatest engagement with the material. Furthermore, the right choice of music is vital. Beyond scientific measurements, conventional wisdom and the experience from trailer producers also suggest that regardless of their structure, great trailers are always about raising questions but never answering them, and about whetting your appetite. You don't want to give away too much, as a trailer should pique your curiosity and make you want to see the movie to find the answers. Let's apply this to the trailers for Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man Homecoming. Employing the checklists of what both science and conventional wisdom say about what constitutes a good trailer, it quickly becomes clear that the first trailer for Thor Ragnarok ticks all the boxes. Interest is piqued by subverting anticipation. Audiences might have expected to see Thor in action and kicking ass. Instead, we see him captured, overpowered, and Mjolnir, who we all took for granted was indestructible, is unceremoniously destroyed. From there on out, Thor is virtually a passive spectator to his world falling apart around him. There are recognizable actors in Chris Hemsworth, Tom Hiddleston, Kate Blanchett, and above all, Jeff Goldblum. There is minimal dialogue, the visuals are stunning. Simple? That is debatable, and what it even means is up to interpretation. But I take it to mean that there is a clear focal point, or memorable imagery that sticks out. There are multiple instances of that here, and they are varied on top of it. The trailer takes a cue from Guardians of the Galaxy, grounding the spaced-out imagery with period music, and an extremely fitting choice at that. Led Zeppelin's Immigrant Song was written while they were on tour in Iceland, and it takes the perspective of Vikings dreaming of conquest and Valhalla, sailing for new lands in the West. Furthermore, the trailer whets our appetites in that it shows enough footage that we get the gist of a plot, but we don't know the full story. And as those of us who follow these things know, there are plenty surprises in the movie that the trailer doesn't even hint at. Marvel Studios know how to do trailers, as a general thing. At the time of making this video, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is just 1 week away from its international rollout, and the trailers for that still haven't revealed the actual story. And it's not just Marvel, Disney as a whole know how to do trailers. Feel free to apply what I've gone through here to the recently released Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer. But then there was the matter of that Spider-Man Homecoming trailer. The reception to the second Spider-Man Homecoming trailer was by all means good, but nonetheless decidedly mixed when compared with the reception for the Thor Ragnarok trailer, or even the Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer. Let's examine why. If we apply the lessons learned from science, we see that it ticks the box for recognizable actors in both Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and certainly Michael Douglas, and there was certainly variation in images. But in my personal opinion, we were so overwhelmed with images that few stuck out and left an impression. So in my book, the final verdict is that the images weren't simple. Furthermore, the narrative of the trailer was driven by dialogue, so minimal dialogue is out too. Most criticism leveled at the trailer is about it giving away too much of the story. While it didn't quite go into the territory of the final Batman v Superman trailer, which was merely a couple of scenes short of being a summary of the movie, it did answer quite a few questions, especially about the relation between Peter Parker and Tony Stark, who almost overshadows Spidey himself. Based on what we saw here, we can piece together pretty big chunks of the movie. Furthermore, there was such an overload of quick cuts of footage that we've likely seen snippets from most or even all action set pieces in the movie. Let's go back to Thor for a second. Not the Ragnarok trailer, but the previous movie, Thor: The Dark World. One of the moments that got the biggest audience reaction in that movie was the surprise Captain America cameo, which no one saw coming. The equivalent moment in Spider-Man Homecoming was spoiled by this trailer. Instead of the surprise elating audiences in theaters, we now not only know the Captain America surprise cameo is coming, we've already seen it. Moving on, the music was fitting for the subject matter, so not too much to say about that. I'm not going to go so far as to say that the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer was bad, because it wasn't. It just wasn't quite up there with the other Marvel Studios trailers. How could marketing powerhouses Marvel and Disney slip up this way, when we know they can do better? The likely culprit here is Sony Pictures, by way of chairman Tom Rothman. By all accounts, Sony have played nice and mostly done things Marvel's way during the making of the movie itself. But Sony Pictures chairman Tom Rothman has final say over all marketing material involving Spider-Man. Even the Captain America Civil War trailer, the one that first revealed a new Spider-Man to the world, had to be approved by Tom Rothman personally before it could be released. As I've covered before, there was something of a rebellion against Tom Rothman within Sony, and quite a few very senior personnel, who are also very respected in Hollywood at large, have resigned on his watch. One of the criticisms labeled against Rothman from his detractors within Sony is that, quote, he thinks he can do everybody's job better, from writer to director to producer to business affairs to marketer. Any position anyone would have on a movie, he thinks he can do better than they can. Please note that this is just me speculating here. This is nothing I know for a fact, but I would not be surprised if that is the explanation why so much was revealed in the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer right there. I think Marvel Studios cut an earlier version of the trailer, one with less Robert Downey Jr., without the Captain America cameo, and less action overload. But Rothman rejected it, demanding those very changes be made. Let's just assume for the sake of argument that my guess is accurate. Why would Rothman do that? Because from his perspective as chairman of Sony Pictures, it only makes sense to take maximum advantage of the Marvel Studios brand. Every single Sony movie greenlit by him that's been released so far has either underperformed or bombed, and there is a lot of drama happening behind the scenes at Sony right now. So it is kind of important to his future career at Sony that Spider-Man Homecoming do what no other Sony movie has done in a long time, namely become a smash hit. To ensure it does, you can see why he would want to really hammer the audience with the Marvel Cinematic Universe connection, and win anyone still not convinced over with cool imagery and action and loads and loads and loads of it, evidently not realizing that there is such a thing as too much of a good thing. And to go back to the realm of certifiable facts, regardless of how big or how little a hand he had in the editing of the trailer, the final cut of it was his to approve. But even if the trailer no doubt did reveal too much of the final movie, the footage suggests that Spider-Man Homecoming could very well end up being the best Spider-Man movie ever made, certainly the one most true to the comic. As such, the release of the Spider-Man Homecoming trailer at CinemaCon should have been a joyous occasion for all Spider-Man fans. Something that nothing should have been able to ruin. Leave it to Amy Pascal to find a way.
One of the things that I think is so amazing about this experience is that you don't have studios deciding to work together to make a film very often. In fact, it may never happen again after we do the sequel.
Check back very soon for more on Pascal's threats of pulling Spider-Man out of the MCU. Until then, let me know what you think of the recent trailers and why they ended up as they did in the comments.
If you like this video, please hit that subscribe button. Join us for spin-free news and analysis of the happenings and corporate politics behind the scenes of your favorite genre movies, as well as explorations of your favorite characters and their backgrounds and context here at Midnight's Edge.